This week in Boomtown, an exclusive interview with two key players in the nonprofit world and what they reveal about the crisis in our growing region. Columbus nonprofits saying demand for help is exploding while funding shrinks. We'll have solutions on This Week in Boomtown. Plus, could Central Ohio see passenger rail anytime soon?
90% of Central Ohioans, rural, urban, suburban, they said they wanted this.
Stick around to find out if or when you'll find a faster way of getting around. Central Ohio certainly is booming. We all see it and we all can feel it. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. Major news this week in Boomtown. Nvidia, one of the world's leading chip makers, just announced this week plans to invest a whopping $5 billion into Intel. This comes just weeks after the U.S. government took a 10% stake in the struggling chip maker. Nvidia says the two companies will, quote, work on custom data centers that form the backbone of artificial intelligence infrastructure. This collaboration is truly a game changer on several levels. Thanks so much for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. Local experts say this investment could benefit the Intel project that's under construction in Licking County. Here's what Ohio's governor said just hours after the news broke.
Look, I mean, all I know is that, Intel is building a facility in Ohio. They've already put about $8 billion into the ground. They're not moving. Chips are going to get made there. When they're going to get made, I can't tell you, and what kind of chips, but chips are going to get made there. So, all the back and forth in regard to where Intel is, that's not something that I frankly can control, but I have every confidence that chips are going to be made right here in Central Ohio.
Well, it's a sentiment we're hearing from other leaders in Central Ohio. However, nothing is set in stone on whether Nvidia will manufacture at Intel's Ohio-based fabs. Presidents of both tech giants held a press conference shortly after this announcement. And when asked about the future of chip making in the U.S., the Intel CEO said it's important, but they have to think about profits and what they have developed globally.
Meanwhile, we also have the footprint from Intel globally. And so in the way we just meet customer requirement, include the Nvidia, and then so that they have the flexibility which best suitable for them. And then meanwhile, we continue to improve our yield of performance.
So I reached out to several economic leaders this week, and they're all saying pretty much the same thing, that this sends a clear signal America needs Intel. Columbus Partnership CEO Jason Hall added that this investment reinforces why domestic production is a national imperative and, quote, why what we're building here is mission critical to our country's future. And we're also hearing from other leaders. Here's what New Albany Mayor Sloan Spalding said, quote, we have always remained hopeful in the Ohio One project and in Intel's ability to land major customers. New Albany is proud to support Intel as this transformative work moves forward. And you can read more reaction by looking up this story on 10tv.com. Well, we know Central Ohio certainly is growing, and we are also the fastest growing region in the Midwest without passenger rail service. This week, the former head of the Department of Transportation came to the capital city to share his view of bringing passenger rail back to Columbus. But as 10 TV's Kevin Landers explains, when passenger rail will return to Boomtown depends a lot on politics and money.
Columbus hasn't had passenger rail service since 1979. That was 46 years ago. The Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission says even if everything goes well, don't expect to ride these rails until sometime in the 2030s. These conceptual renderings show what a Columbus train station at the convention center could look like. Supporters believe it's the future of transportation.
We did a regional survey last year. 90% of Central Ohioans, rural, urban, suburban, they said they wanted this.
This map shows 3 of the 4 rail routes the Federal Railroad Administration has accepted for Columbus to study. One is seen as the higher priority.
We've referred to as that 3CD, the Cleveland, Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati route. It just connects so many population centers throughout Ohio.
As for the cost of creating a rail system in Ohio,
In terms of the capital investment, that's the piece that we really don't know.
former U.S. Secretary of Transportation Ray LaHood, a Republican who served under President Barack Obama, spoke to local leaders about the importance of passenger rail.
If you build it, they will come. This is an economic development project. It's a rail project, but it will create jobs for those people who build the rail. It'll create jobs for people who will invest around where they build the stations.
None of the Ohio lines would involve high-speed rail.
In Michigan, for example, on their Wolverine service, they started at 79, then progressed to 90 miles an hour, and then ultimately they're at 110 right now.
It's unclear if there's the political will to ensure Ohio gets a rail line.
And we do have some folks in the Senate that are supportive, but that seems to be where the hurdle is getting more friends in the Senate.
These projects, frankly, will not be successful without the support of the state government.
The next step in this process is for Columbus to determine what routes the trains will travel. That's expected to take 1 to 3 years. After that, engineering and funding will take up to another 3 years. Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
This week, Columbus City Council voted unanimously to approve almost $450,000 in grants to 7 local nonprofits. This money will help pay for administrative costs that will help these agencies distribute some much-needed rental assistance and other aid desperately needed in a growing city. So we're talking $3 million in all of funding that was approved by Columbus Council back in late July. It will also provide services such as financial coaching. It is certainly a challenging time right now for many nonprofit agencies. Funding is getting smaller at all levels, while the demand for services continues to grow. Joining us for This Week in Boomtown are 2 very special guests. Michael Corey, he's the Executive Director for Human Services Chambers here in Franklin County, and also Ryan Burgess, the President and CEO of Goodwill Columbus. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you, Angela.
We've been talking quite often about the state of nonprofits, and I think over the years there's been a growing concern, and now I feel like we're at this peak of what is really happening. So Michael, I'll start with you. Which areas of the nonprofits that you work with do you see having those biggest cuts right now?
Well, first, thank you so much for having us. There are certain subsectors that are uniquely challenged with the way federal funding and some state funding has changed. First and foremost are all of our organizations serving immigrants and refugees. Second are probably our behavioral health organizations as they brace for changes in Medicaid funding and availability. And third are probably our food pantries with changes forthcoming to SNAP at the federal and state level as well.
And when we talk about these challenges, you know, we hear a lot right now about the federal funding cuts. You have said before, though, that the federal funding is really not that huge of a portion of a budget for some of these nonprofits, although their budgets are quite small. So it does feel like a big difference.
Yeah, the margins are tight. Even though on average, federal revenue is about 9% through grants of all of our members, when the margins are very, very thin, every percent makes a huge difference. So to the community, the money that may not be available as federal funding changes over the next 12 to 18 months, that represents hundreds of millions of dollars through lost grants, lost appropriations, and lost revenue streams through reimbursement services like Medicaid, SNAP, and so forth.
So how big of a demand are we talking about? And Ryan, we'll get to you because I know you are filling that gap. But Michael, you know, Human Service Chamber, you have more than 220 nonprofits that you work with. What is the biggest demand that you're hearing that they really need? Is it food? Is it shelter?
It's tough to answer that too precisely right now, but I'll say generally since January, a majority of our members report demand for their services has increased. There's no sign of that abating. That has been the case every time we've asked the question since March of 2020. We're seeing a spike of demand for food, for housing, for shelter, but truly there isn't a subsector of health and human services that has seen demand go down. And that's a product of a few things. One of them being we are a booming city.
Yes.
As the number of people here grows, so does the number of people in need, even if percentage-wise that has been flat. And it hasn't necessarily been flat on that timeline.
Well, all I have to say is thank goodness for companies like Goodwill Columbus. So Ryan, as we turn to you, and I know we're all great friends because we see the good that Goodwill Columbus is doing. Michael talked about that boom and that demand and that need. Talk about how that has kind of forced Goodwill Columbus to expand its footprint.
Yeah, so thanks, Angela, for having me. And maybe just one quick note, Goodwill is a nonprofit. There's a lot of folks who think, well, those are those thrift stores, those retail stores. Well, we are a nonprofit. The revenues that we generate from our stores help support our overall mission. And one of our primary areas, or one of our areas of focus, is free job training. And that's how we are trying to help the community, by providing that free job training in a number of different ways, through digital skills training, through entry-level healthcare credentials, through the CDL. That's the role that we're trying to play in our community.
And with that job training, are you also finding that because of this growth that we're seeing going into other parts of the greater metro area, where are you putting some of these job training centers, because you have to meet the people where they are?
Yeah, so a couple years ago we had a large campus in the Grandview area on Edge Hill Road, and we made the strategic decision that we were going to leave that. We sold that campus, but by doing that we took the resources to invest in a number of job training centers across our footprint, just to make it easier for people to access us. So we have a job training center downtown, we have a job training center out in Grove City, a job training center in Clintonville, and then on the Near East Side off of Bryce Road, we have a job training center there, just again to make it easier for people to access our services.
But that's also where we are seeing a lot of this growth.
That's exactly right.
And even expanding outside the Franklin County area too.
That's right. And we're a part of a federated model. There are 153 Goodwills across the country. So we have neighboring Goodwills that we work with in Delaware County, Fairfield County, Pickaway County, and we work closely with them with all of our mission programs.
We talk about numbers in the population boom. I think we've seen it out there, anywhere from 750,000 people to more than 1 million in the next 25 years. And so the need is growing, the demand is growing. Goodwill Columbus, though, you just celebrated, in a way, a milestone where you reached services for the number of people much faster than anticipated. 100,000, is that the number that I saw?
We did, yes.
Okay, talk about that.
In 2019, our board put a strategic goal in front of us, and it was really to challenge the organization to just have an exponential impact across the community and focus on the power of work. So our 2030 goal was we wanted to equip 100,000 individuals with the tools to advance economic mobility through the power of work by 2030. What that means is helping people get to their next best opportunity or their next best job. And we did that through our different job training programs that we offer. So yes, we were trying to achieve that goal by 2030, and I'm proud to say just back in this past July, we surpassed that threshold of 100,000 individuals. And we did that through collaboration with a lot of our other nonprofit partners in the community.
And that's what I was going to ask. Is that because you were addressing the needs of people faster, or were more people just coming to you saying, we need the help?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because we expanded our footprint, because we made ourselves more accessible, I think that helped. But again, we're growing so quickly, and the economy's changing, and the labor market is changing so quickly. People are viewing Goodwill and other nonprofits as places they can come in and acquire new skills to find a new career pathway.
There's clearly great collaboration, right at this table, but we also know throughout Central Ohio. What are you guys seeing in terms of a lot of these nonprofits saying, hey, maybe we need to join forces, maybe we need to merge? Is that something to help these nonprofits thrive? Michael?
Yeah, I'll happily take that one. So in a typical year, which the last 2 years have not been, there was one prominent nonprofit merger in town a year. Last year there were 4.
Wow. This
year there will be more than 4. None are public yet, but several are in conversation. Nonprofits are also exploring affiliations and new business partnerships and downsizing and divestitures and things of that nature. There's a lot of shuffling around, a lot of considerations of how to do business differently while still maintaining and meeting the need for services in the community.
For their particular mission or their clientele that they want to try to serve.
That's exactly right.
Is this something that we're seeing because the funding pots are getting smaller from the federal, state, local levels, but also perhaps the philanthropy that is coming to many of these nonprofits? We have seen those donations going down as well. People just can't make ends meet.
This was going to happen this year regardless of anything else because of the cessation of American Rescue Plan Act dollars. that represented a lot of money going away that wasn't going to be duplicated with any other revenue stream. Those were one-time funds, and we all kind of knew, generally speaking, there would need to be some shuffling around and efficiency sought. But that, coupled with cost of living going up and the amount of federal money going down, is accelerating the timeline on which nonprofits have to make these kinds of considerations here and across the country.
Yeah. As I look at, you had a state of the sector, which was really fascinating but eye-opening as well, Michael. You talk about what is the state of the nonprofit sector right now. Between the good, fair, bad, very bad, and other, the bad and the very bad took up most of that pie. Are we able to turn this pie around? And how?
Yes, but. Yes, because we are, by nature of being in the nonprofit space, optimistic. We are problem solvers. We are practical. We are resilient. The but is, I don't know when. It's going to take forces beyond our own. It's going to take collaborations. It's going to take community rallying to navigate this and meet community need, because it's, at the end of the day, a supply and demand problem. The supply of resources to meet the demand isn't there right now, and it may not be for some time, and we're all having to recalibrate so that we can ensure everyone that has a need can have it met.
Ryan, I'll ask you the same question because, like you said, Goodwill Columbus, it is a nonprofit. Yeah. And you see these same numbers out there, and I'm sure you're hearing it. Can we turn this around?
Absolutely, and Michael and I talk about this frequently. I mean, look, I'm biased, but I don't think there's a better place to be than Central Ohio in terms of the momentum that we have in our economy, the energy that we have, the culture that we have. I'm optimistic that we will. But I agree with Michael, there are a lot of challenges that we face, but I think the nonprofit community that we have is very strong. We are a tight-knit group. We're always talking to each other. We're always looking for ways to work together. And I think through that collaboration, we will absolutely come out of this.
How do we reach some people who can't find Goodwill Columbus or the 220 nonprofits that you work with? Maybe they're in the rural areas or they don't have transportation. How can we help them find you?
You go first.
Well, I can tell you about our website, goodwillcolumbus.org is one way that you can find us. And that is one of the challenges that nonprofits have in terms of marketing. I mean, we talk about grant funding. A lot of those grant funding dollars limit how much you can spend on marketing. So we're always looking for creative ways, community events where we can get out in the neighborhoods and talk to individuals, our neighbors, about the services that we can provide.
And I think for you, Michael, you just launched a new calendar, if you will, of all your nonprofits doing great work and when. So is that one way people can reach out?
Absolutely. Humanservicechamber.org. We're very proud of this new events calendar. All sorts of events, not just fundraisers, but community events, donation opportunities, volunteer opportunities. It's a way for people that want to be engaged to get engaged fast and figure out how they can plug in and be of support. And then, of course, we have a roster of all of the member organizations that we have the privilege of serving on our website as well. But it is the most common challenge that we hear, the general basic challenge, just as in business. Folks need to know what you do.
Right.
And the form of ideas is as crowded and loud as it's ever been, so we have to make it easier to people find the help that they need.
Well, we know that there is help that is needed, and we're so thankful to the both of you for being there to meet the need of all the people that live in our area. Thank you both so much. And finally, we leave you with this from Hilliard. This week, we got a first look at a massive recreation and wellness center that just opened. It's nicknamed The Well, and it's all the talk of town right now in Hilliard. Years of planning, and look at this enormous space right off Scioto Darby Road. The Well has multiple pools, 3 types of fitness studios, also 2 gymnasiums, childcare, and a rooftop patio. There's also an event space that can hold more than 200 people. Leaders say the space is long overdue for the growing suburb.
And it's been a labor of love. We're very excited to share it with the community. Seeing people in here is really what makes it all worth it for us.
It's a great opportunity for us to continue to see the growth that we're experiencing here in the city and to keep up with the level of demand that we're seeing too.
Total price tag, $110 million, but it also includes more than 20 sports fields. And OSU Wexner Medical Center is leasing space to include an urgent care. Now, this project was made possible by a ballot initiative some years ago when the city raised income taxes. As we wrap up another great week of This Week in Boomtown, let us know if you have any questions related to Central Ohio's rapid growth. You can text us 614-460-3345, and we would love to hear from you. You can also drop your question on YouTube. Just make sure to like and subscribe when you're watching our shows. We are approaching 1 year since we launched Boomtown right here on 10, so keep watching for special episodes in the weeks ahead. I'm Angela Ann. Thanks so much for watching This Week in Boomtown. We'll see you again next week.